Hello and welcome to Spread Book Joy. This is my to be read pile coming up for the end of October, beginning of November. We'll see how many of those I actually get through, but I thought I'd share some of these books because I'm very excited to read them. First up is Serpentine by Philip Pullman. I won't talk too much about what it's about because I don't want to give spoilers for the other books if you've never read his Dark Materials, but if you have, this book is set after the original trilogy. So Lyra Silvertongue, who is the main character from his Dark Materials, she and her in the world of his Dark Materials, humans in Lyra's world, humans have their souls are separate from them. They're on their outside. They take the form of an animal, and they're called their demon. And Lyra's demon Pantalaimon and her, they take a trip back to the Arctic, which is where they visited in the first trilogy. So I'm excited to read this. It's a small hardback book. It's beautifully illustrated by Tom Duxbury, who I think has done all the illustrations for the newer editions of his Dark Materials, plus the new Book of Dust trilogy. Can't remember if it's called the Book of Dust trilogy, but I've read the first two new ones. I'm really excited for the third one to come out. But look at these lovely illustrations. And if he did that front cover, he's definitely the person who's illustrated the newer ones. You couldn't call this a novella. It's a story really, because look at the size of the writing and the illustrations all the way through. It's just a beautiful object to own. So anyone who's a fan of his Dark Materials, this is lovely, and I'm looking forward to reading that. Next up, it's not a new book. I think it was published either earlier this year or last year, but it's the second book in the Wittershin Sisters trilogy. The first book I've put in my October half-term recommended reads, and I have done a in-depth overview video, my Get Kids Reading series, which I'll also put on the screen here. A fantastic book, A Pinch of Magic, and I think it's worth doing if you're teaching in school or you're doing some homeschooling. It's worth examining it and doing a large piece of work on. But this is the second book in the trilogy. I'm really excited to read it. The Wittershin sisters in the first book, we met them in the first book, and they're three sisters who were cursed and they were given some magical objects, and in this second book they get to leave their island, I think, of Crowstone, which in the first book not be spoilers, but I think in the second, you can see from this they're going to go on a journey. But the third book is due out on the February 2021, the final book in the trilogy, by Michelle Harrison, and these beautiful covers, which I love, by Melissa Castrion, who is a fantastic illustrator and author in her own right. Look how beautiful this is. Absolutely love it. So I'm very excited to read this. So this book, Wonderscape, I kept seeing everywhere, and I think it was a Waterstones book of the month. I don't know huge amounts about it, but I just love the premise because I love fantasy and sci-fi and other worlds, and the children get trapped in a game in the future, in the year 2473, an immersive reality game, and they have to get some historical figures to help them escape. And so, yeah, it sounds a little bit to me like a cross between, I don't know, Tron and Bill and Ted. I'm showing my age now of all these things, but anyway, it sounds fantastic, and I think it's something that children will absolutely love. The game is on Travel with Wonder. Look, Lost in the Wonderscape, an epic in-reality adventure game. The children must call on the help of some unlikely historical heroes to play their way home before time runs out. So, adventure, anything can happen because it's like virtual reality. So I'm really buzzing about this one. I think this will be a great read. Next up, I am going to carry on with the Warrior series. Children love this series. It's really popular. I wanted to read it to find out so I could recommend it to children, because if you've got children who aren't sure about books and things like that, I love being able to recommend a good popular series with lots of books in so that they get engrossed in it. And this is insanely popular, insanely so, and there's I think it's about 24 books, maybe more. There's different there's a first series. This is the first 6 books volume, and there's a second volume series, and this is the second book in it, Fire and Ice. The first book is called Into the Wild, which I loved, so I'm reading the second book. Might be the cat lady in me because I love my cat. I love cats, but these stories is about mystical. It's not mystical really, but there is some mystical elements to it. There are clans of wild cats who live in a forest, and a house cat in the first book runs off and joins them, and he trains to be a warrior in this clan, and the clans are at war, and there's mystery and mysticism and politics and all sorts of wonderful stuff that goes on in these books. So I'm looking forward to this second one. My last book that I'm left till last because I want to kind of rave about it. I'm probably shooting myself in the foot because I'm hoping it's going to end up as good as it started. I've already started reading it already. It's A Secret of Birds and Bone by Kiran Millwood Hargrave. It's her latest book. It's just out. She is published by Chicken House, who are a fantastic publisher. They're a small publisher, I believe. They also publish Jaspinder Billen, who I'm also a fan of now. They do an annual children's fiction competition to discover new writers in conjunction with the Times, but that's not what this is. She's, a well-established author by now. She had the Waterstones, I believe it was the Children's Book of the Year, which was A Girl of Ink and Stars, which, I'm not going to lie, I didn't like. Not because it was badly written. I think she's a wonderful writer. I just didn't feel it answered enough questions. I think it raised more questions than it answered, and I won't go into that because I'm not here to sort of talk about books I don't like. I'm talking about books I would recommend, but this is my TBR, so I haven't read this book fully yet, but it started off brilliantly. The premise of this book is let's just look at the cover first. Look at this cover. I love this embossing. I just think it's just stunning. And then what happens is when you open it up, you get this lovely, beautiful hidden treasure surprise underneath these golden birds. I just love it when there's a secret kind of hidden cover underneath the dust jacket that rewards you. And then when you look through the entire book, if you look on the edges of the pages are kind of mottled. It's because the entire book is full of beautiful illustrations, and they're not there to add to the story. They're just there to add to the general delight of reading this beautiful book. It's beautifully presented. I just like details like that. I think it's so rewarding for readers. And the book starts wonderfully. We meet our main character who wakes up in a house made of bone, in a bed made of bone, and you're thinking, God, this it sounds like a horror story to start with, but actually she lives in a house made of bone because her mum is a bone builder. She makes things out of bone. It's set in Italy, because there's a lot of old chapels and things where there are things made out of bone and reliquaries made out of bone, and their mother is a bone builder. So there's a character called Sophia and her younger brother Ermin, and they wake up in the house of the bone builder, which is their mother. It's Sophia's 12th birthday, and the story starts with her mother giving her birthday present, which is a special locket, and then she tells her that when she comes back from doing a final job that she's had to do in town, they've been keeping away from town because there was smallpox there, then she's going to tell her some secrets. Don't want to do any more spoilers or anything like that, but the premise is wonderful. It's set in Italy, bone builder, things that you would never even think about. I just love it. So far I've read 2/3 of the book, and she can write. She can really write. She's fantastic. Her turns of phrase, her descriptions, the language she uses. It's, just a wonderful read so far, and I can't wait to finish it. And when I do, I will do a quick video on it for you. So those are the books I'm excited to read at the end of October, beginning of November, just as it's getting colder and darker, and the perfect time to curl up with a book and a cup of tea and a blanket. So if you have any questions or any comments, or you've got any requests about videos possibly for these books, please leave it in the comments below. Don't forget to click like and subscribe, and join me again on Spread Book Joy. Bye!